But let me tell you what's really made me angry today. The Prime Minister this week got carried away with all this kumbaya talk and the virus crisis about how we're all in this together. And he gave a big speech about how he's going to build on this by getting unions and bosses to work together on reforming our industrial relations system to help get Australians back to work.
Now, the first step is to get everyone back in the room, to bring people together. That's our job. And in particular, that's my job. No one side has all the answers, employees or employers.
Now, this plan to me sounded like a dodo from the get-go. Getting unions, represented by the radical ACTU boss Sally McManus, a seat at the table to help make decisions affecting all of us. But why? McManus was a broken figure after the last election. Her ACTU had just blown $25 million of members' money on a campaign to destroy the Liberals and had lost. Now Morrison is giving her a new life. Again, why? Why? When the union movement today represents just 1 in every 7 workers, just 1 in 10 in the private sector, and just about nobody at all is unemployed. And sure enough, McManus is already out there demanding exactly the opposite of what's needed if we want to create more jobs very fast, before this joint goes over a cliff. She wants to turn casual workers into permanent ones, complaining that we have an entire class of workers in Australia who have no sick leave, no annual leave and no job security, and that it's casual workers, labour hire, gig economy. Addressing this insecurity is a key priority. Now, I'm not sure that making it less attractive and less flexible for bosses to hire people is what Scott Morrison meant by bringing back the unions and changing our IR system. But to the bit in all this that really upsets me, Morrison's call might have made sense if the union movement now looked like it was ready to make big calls to help the country and put people back into work, and not just help the lucky ones who are still in jobs. And certainly not just the lucky ones who not only still have a job, but have not lost a dollar in pay through this. Now I'm talking about public servants. Yet you look around. In New South Wales, unions are refusing to accept even a temporary freeze on pay rises, just for the next year. Not a cut in pay, just no more pay rises, just for the next year, to save the New South Wales $3 billion that could be used to create jobs for less lucky Australians. $3 billion is a lot of money, but then New South Wales got an awful lot of public servants, nearly 400,000 of them. And you know what? Labor and the Greens say, yeah, too right, these public servants should get a pay rise, when millions of other people have just had pay cuts. Weren't we meant to be in this all together? What happened to that idea? No wonder the New South Wales Premier seemed surprised today that a wage freeze now looks like it will be blocked in Parliament.
It's important for us to stake our position, to say why we're doing it, to acknowledge that other states have done exactly the same thing, and to explain why it's important for us to be able to pursue this. It is just for 12 months. And if you look at the whole picture, if you look at the context, if you look at where we've come from and where we're going, we know it's a difficult ask. We know it's difficult for a lot of people to accept, but we also know it's the best decision at this point in time.
Anyone in private business must look at that and just think, what planet are these people on? And by the way, some states aren't doing exactly the same wage freeze for public servants at all. The federal government is, yes, and Queensland is, but Victoria, the hard left government there, you've got to be kidding, not at all. And get this, Dominic Perrottet, the New South Wales Treasurer, went on the ABC today to try to explain what I thought was the bleeding obvious. New South Wales is deep in debt. It needs money to put people back to work. Lots of people in the private sector have lost jobs and money, so let's not pay public servants even more. Not right now. But to the taxpayer-funded ABC presenter Hamish McDonald, this was mean. This was picking on people.
Clearly this is being interpreted as a slap in the face for the frontline workers like nurses and fireys who we all know have gone above and beyond during both the bushfires and the pandemic. Why do they deserve this?
What did they do to deserve this? Well, Hamish, I ask you, mate, what did 500 of my colleagues here at News do to deserve losing their jobs today? They're not simply being told they won't get a pay rise over the next year. They won't get any pay at all. Their papers are being closed because there's no advertising. What did they do to deserve that? What did the 600,000 Australians who lost their jobs just in April alone, what did they do to deserve that? And what did the millions of Australians in the private sector who've lost their pay, some of it, or they lost their hours, they're down to a couple of days of work a week. What did they do to deserve that? This is not about deserving. This is about trying to deal with the hand that's been dealt to us. Now, for these Australians who've lost money and even their jobs, to hear this whinging about public servants not getting a pay rise, a rise paid for by people in the private sector, to hear that is an insult. We're all in this together. We now know that is rubbish. If you're in the private sector, you're getting belted. If you're a public servant, you're not. In fact, you've got your hand out for more money, and Labor and the Greens are saying yes, yes, yes. And whose side are the unions on in this? Maybe Scott Morrison could ask them that at the first meeting of his new kumbaya council of big bosses and big unions.